This podcast is a Radio Mike original production. Head to radiomike.com.au to find out more. Today on the show, I've got a brand new addiction. I've really upset an American listener. The weirdest thing about the new season of Black Mirror. Plus, can somebody please give Osher Günsberg a gold Logie? All that and more on 20th Century Boy, the show that is scientifically proven to cure cancer. To 20th Century Boy. My name is Rambling Maniac, and this is the inside of my mind. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's 20th Century Boy. The conversations you wish you were having about the stuff that no one else cares about. And that's why we're here. Of course, I start every show with a new nickname or opening name for myself this week. Yes, I've gone with Rambling Maniac, because you know, they're either usually, if you listen regularly, they're usually either a play on Mike or they're RM themed to match Radio Mike, who is me, by the way. Hi, welcome. And don't think I've done Rambling Maniac before, but look, it's quite possible. And as I've been saying every week, it is becoming the biggest handbrake of the show that almost puts me off making the show each week is having to come up with that name. So if you have one, please get in touch, as well as any question, comment, query, concern, response, reply, or anything you want to send into the show. radiomikepod@gmail.com or radio.mike on Instagram, DM me, however you want to get to me. If you're on the Patreon, patreon.com/radiomike, you actually get my phone number, or you should, as part of the top tier. So, you know, that's also a good thing that you could get in touch with. But yeah, you guys help build the show with your ideas and your comments. And this week's episode got a fair bit of feedback from listeners on various topics, so it will be a listener-heavy episode, but I do have a few topics as well. Of course, on Patreon, you get the Pat and Mike show every week, patreon.com/Radio Mike. Pat and Mike show, little bonus podcast for you all, which is obviously the incentive to sign up. Can I say, just quickly at the top, and I hate opening the pod, as always, by begging for Patreons, but we have dropped a bit. I understand cost of living is really high and tough at the moment, but if you've considered jumping on, if you've been on in the past and want to jump back on, you can give as little as $1 a month. You get the Pat and Mike show on the $4.50 a month tier. But if you want to just give $1, again, independent podcast, no backing. Everything you see from this podcast is independently done, and the only income really is the Patreon. So if you've ever considered jumping on board, this would be a great time. I would really appreciate it to keep the show going, because, yeah, I work a day job and this is really, I guess, a hobby. I would love it to become a legit thing, but I don't know if that's ever going to be possible, which is a shame. But anyway, I want to start the show with a bunch of these. All the write-ins that you sent in. All the write-ins, stuff that you, the listeners, have sent in. And there's a big scandal brewing in the podcast Discord. If you are interested in joining the Discord, there's a bunch of people in there. Just send me a message. I'll give you an invite. It's a fun little community group chat for the show. And of course, last week we discussed Patreon Kyle, who won the podcast. Again, long-time listeners know if you see me in public while listening to the podcast, you win the podcast. And last week that happened with Kyle. Huge moment for the show. Really unexpected. And look, it's been hotly debated in the Discord because there were some rules or like clauses to winning the podcast, and a bunch of people in the Discord don't think that Kyle has actually won, which we do need to address. Of course, Radio Biggin, loyal listener of the show, says, someone may have mentioned this already, but I have some issues with the podcast winner. From memory, and someone else can clarify, but I'm sure the winner needs to do a 360 spin and look for Mike at the start of the podcast when I tell them to, not just at any point in the podcast. The winner said he was listening to another part of the podcast, so he didn't win. Sorry, Kyle. And this comes from the long rule that you're supposed to do what it used to be, and I don't even remember how it started. It was a long time ago, but I used to say in every episode, wherever you are right now, do a 360 spin on the spot. And if you happen to see me right now at this specific moment of the podcast, you have won the podcast while you're doing your 360. And then the rule that you could win the podcast stayed, but I guess I stopped every week speaking about the 360. So I don't mention it anymore, but I kept saying you can win the podcast, but I never had that moment in podcast to do it. So it's opening up a bit of a loophole can of worms kind of thing. Radio Lazar, possibly a Patreon supporter, I'm not sure, also sent in, you need to do a 360 when Mike says to do it at the start of the episode, and you have to see Mike right then and there. Then you have to go up and play for Mike the section you're up to so he can confirm. And then Radio in the Discord, Radio Slightly Damp, the names you guys come up with crack me up sometimes. I was listening to an older episode of the podcast, and Radio Mike says that to win, you need to be listening to the section where he's talking about winning the pod, plus or minus a minute either side. Now, again, we run into this problem that because I haven't been doing that, in my mind it's been, no, you just win the podcast if you see Mike when you're listening. But clearly to the listeners, that is not it. So, and Kyle can disagree with this or challenge it if he would like to make a case for himself. But I think moving forward, that will be the rule, and I need to nix Kyle's win. That's where I'm at the moment with it. Kyle can make a case, anyone can make a case to defend Kyle, but what I think is that the new rule is if you see me while listening, because I'm not going to do it every week, say the 360 thing. I'm simply not going to do that. So if that is the rule moving forward, Kyle unfortunately does not get it this time, but yeah, I think that's fair. But Kyle, feel free to make a case. From Kyle to Radio Kyo. Last week I talked about the worst Disney song ever that has taken the internet by storm, the Scuttlebutt song from The Little Mermaid, which you'll be pleased to know I have deleted all traces of from... Oh, no, I haven't.
Hey, have you not heard that Scuttlebutt?
Your butt.
No, the gossip, the buzz, the who said what, who does that, yeah, the Scuttlebutt.
I haven't. I've still got it there in case we ever need to bring it out for a punishment. But Radio Kyo does say... I've had that stupid seagull song stuck in my head since I listened to the podcast yesterday. I made sure to share it with all my friends so they can suffer with me. And just a friendly one from Radio Alex Eagleston, new listener. Hey, Mike, started listening to your podcast this year and I love it. Shout out from New Zealand. Love your podcast. It's such a cool niche. Well, thank you so much, Radio Alex Eagleston. I really appreciate it. Okay, I want to start off today, though, with something that has really caught my attention in the Australian media landscape, and that is the nominees for the Gold Logie. Not from Australia, I'll fill you in. The Logies are basically like our Emmys, but shit. So they're our TV awards, and they are sponsored by a magazine called TV Week Magazine, and yeah, they're the Logies. And the most prestigious prize, essentially, in Australian television is the Gold Logie, the coveted Gold Logie. And, putting some names out there that have won them, Rove McManus, I'm pretty sure, won. Bert Newton had heaps. Hamish Blake has won 2. Andy Lee's been nominated. Who else? Scott Cam from The Block. I mean, the biggest person in television in Australia was the guy that hosted The Block. Who else has won? Tom Gleeson won. Maybe Grant Denyer won. I don't know. A lot of people have won. That's the point I'm trying to make here. The nominees have come out for the Gold Logie for 2023, I guess. And look, it's an exciting bunch. I want to read out the nominees for you. You've got Julia Zamiro, Sonia Kruger, Hamish Blake, Lee Sales, Mark Coles-Smith, and Sean McAuliffe, and Osher Günsberg. And can I be the first person to say, can someone please give Osher Günsberg the fucking Gold Logie? Give Osher Günsberg a Logie. Get this man a gold Logie. I don't care how, we got to get Osh the gold Logie. I'm going to campaign for it. He deserves it. Okay? This man, Osher Günsberg, not only, I've got his book here somewhere. There it is. Osher Günsberg's book, back after the break. Great read. This man has been on TV since like 2001 when he was the host of Australian Idol, right? I'm pretty sure he was on Channel V before that, but broke onto the mainstream as Andrew G on Australian Idol back in the early 2000s. And since then, after a little bit of a hiatus from TV, he has gone from strength to strength. He is the most handsome person on the television. He's modest. He's humble. We love Osher. Okay? He hosts The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, The Masked Singer, several other shows, I'm sure. Osher Günsberg is a monumental figure in Australian television. I'm glad he's nominated, but he needs to win. Look at these other nominees. Hamish has won 2. He does not need another one. Lee Sales is a journalist. It means nothing to her. A Logie means nothing to her. Mark Cole Smith, sorry mate, no one knows who you are. I have no idea who you are. Sean McAuliffe's talented. Sonia Kruger's talented. Julia Zamira, nothing to say about the talent of the other nominees. But get Osher the gold Logie. I want everyone seeing this. Put it on your story. Tag Osher, comment Logie, tag Logies. Whatever you have to do, share this around. I want Osher to win the gold Logie. That is what I want. Nobody deserves the Logie more than Osher. Get him to win. This is my campaign. Tom Gleeson campaigned in the past. I'm campaigning. I'm Team Osher. Osher for gold. Just putting that out there. Okay? Okay. I have had a pretty interesting weekend. Last weekend. I had. Yeah. I actually went to see Michael Buble. Claire had a spare ticket, so we went to Rod Laver, saw Michael Buble. What a show. Man can sing. That man can put on a show. Like, you know, would never have thought, I'm going to get tickets to Michael Buble, but glad I went because it was such a great show. Had fun. And then, speaking of the Scuttlebutt, on the walk home from Rod Laver, because we don't live far from there, I started singing the Scuttlebutt. I did say I wasn't going to bring up Scuttlebutt, but it features quite prominently in this story. When you know, Buble, known for some of he's a crooner, known for some hits like I Just Haven't Met You Yet, you know, beautiful. What's the other one? Love, love, love. You know, just songs where he says stuff about love that makes like girls be like, oh, he's so handsome. I have to have sex with him. That kind of vibe, right? Songs that get girls in the mood. Maybe that's a bit sexist. I don't know. Because I was getting in the mood as well. He was very sexy on the night. But, you know, what else did he sing? I can't help falling in love with you. Lots and lots of great songs. What was his other one? Sway with me, make me sway. With one of the funniest lyrics in music, which is, when we sway, I go wee. Which is, I just find that hilarious in like a sexy song. He's like, imagine you're sway dancing with someone and you're like, wee. That's what he's implying is happening there. Funny Michael Bublé lyrics. What are some other Michael Bublé songs that I like? I don't know. He's got a lot of great songs anyway. But then on the walk home, I kept singing Scuttlebutt in crooner form. So, like, obviously you've got the, I don't know, what have you got here?
Can you believe the Scuttlebutt? Get dressed, child. You're welcome for the Scuttlebutt.
Yeah, so I kept being like, hey, have you not heard the Scuttlebutt? You know, like in crooner form. If someone can put a backing track to that. I know we used to have a listener called he's a Patreon, Alex Sky, who had perfect pitch, and he used to, whenever I sung songs, he used to put stuff behind. Anyway, you're welcome for the Scuttlebutt. So maybe I do a full crooner version of Scuttlebutt. Maybe that's why, because I don't know why I'm talking about this. Oh yeah, the reason I'm talking about this, of course, is because kind of leads into another story about one of my personal favorite listeners of the show. And that listener is Radio Ryan Adams from Denver, Colorado.
Denver sucks ass.
We always play that for Ryan, who I think is in his 50s and just loves the podcast from Colorado. But I said something a few months ago or a few weeks ago on the show that really upset him. And he got in touch with me, and he's been getting in touch with me every week. And I've actually just been ignoring it, not out of disrespect, just because I didn't know what to do with what he was sending. But basically, and I haven't digged up the audio, but I said something, and I can't remember when, but it was when I don't know what the context was, but I basically said that Americans are unhealthy and lazy. I don't know what I was talking about. I'm just doing a scroll through of the pod just to see. I don't know if anyone remembers. I mean, I'm sure Radio Ryan Adams remembers because he was pretty pissed off about it. I honestly can't remember, but he sent me a few emails saying, oh, you've really, Americans aren't fat and lazy. And, he's at the gym doing like clap push-ups and he's filming himself doing them while calling me out and reminding me of when I fell off my chair from leaning over because I'm an old man now and I'm getting weaker by the day and I'm probably going to cark it soon, which sucks. That's not quite true, but he's basically making fun of me. And I don't know if he's genuinely upset or not. But then last week when I played when I talked about Scuttlebutt being the worst song ever, I've upset him even more and now it's personal because he sent in another video, and I guess this must be his teenage daughter who Ryan has sent a video in on her behalf, and she says this.
What's up, Radio Mike? This is Radio Emmy from Denver, Colorado. And don't play that soundbite, all right? And I do not know what's going in your old brain right there, but the Scuttlebutt is the best song of all time, all right? So you're just old.
Facts.
That's him at the end there going, facts. I'm just old. Like, apparently the rhetoric is that I'm too old to appreciate this. I don't know. I don't know what to do now. But I've really upset Radio Ryan Adams. Any other American listeners out there? Have I upset you? I know on YouTube I have a big American audience. So, if you're watching this, let me know. And Ryan, I'd like to apologize. You aren't unfit. You're clearly fit. You have proved that. And thank you so much, I hope, for continuing to listen to the show.
Denver sucks ass.
On the weekend as well, I have picked up a new hobby. And it's really a new addiction. I'm addicted to something new. Remember when I was addicted to Hogwarts Legacy? In fact, I was so addicted I broke my PS5 controller, and I then got Sanity. The good people at Sanity, I would never shop at JB Hi-Fi, to send me free controllers, which are going great, by the way. But got a new addiction. If you're watching the video, you may have seen it already. But basically, I have started cubing. Cube. And by cubing, I mean Rubik's cubing, and I am addicted. Now, how this started is I when we were doing the Remembering Project a few weeks ago, there was an episode about Rubik's cubing because Hamish and Andy interviewed Felix Zemdegs, who was up until very recently the world record holder for Rubik's Cube solving, who solved a cube in, I think, 4 seconds, which seems impossible to me. But Hamish brought a Rubik's Cube and was like showing us how to do it. And I was just like, I've always wanted to learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this is the time. So I went out to Kmart, I bought a Rubik's Cube, and over the weekend on Sunday, I was like, I'm going to learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube. And it took me all day, but I am pleased to announce that I can now solve a Rubik's Cube in under 5 minutes.
Cubing on up, cubing on down. Time to cube now. Nothing can stop me.
And it is so addictive. Like last night, I stayed up till like 1 a.m. just cubing because I would finish it and like the dopamine hit of solving it, right, is so much. And you're like, then you're like, this will be the last one. You're like, you finish it, get that dopamine. You're like, I have to do this again. It was almost like better than sex. Just like, this is so much fun. And it's super nerdy, but it's like, it's so funny because like, I remember being a kid and I saw a Rubik's Cube and I was like, how do you solve this? And apparently like the odds of like ever just randomly solving it are pretty much like astronomically impossible. Like you could sit there for years just randomly turning it with no rhyme or reason and you would never solve it. But like, once you learn the pattern, and there is just a pattern that there's like a set of algorithms you just have to memorize, you will always get it. Like you can't not get it. There's just literally, there's like one way to do it. I'm sure there's more ways to do it. Like, I don't think the way I'm doing it is the way like Felix Zemdegs would do it. But funnily enough, Felix Zemdegs went to my school and he's at least very good friends with my friend Vince, who Vince comes over to mine a lot and we play Dr. Mario because we're like super nerdy and we just get addicted to Dr. Mario. So like if I ever wanted to chat to Felix, I'm sure I could probably get him on. But yeah, and then I watched the Netflix documentary Speed Cubers, which Felix is in, about the whole speed cubing competition. I'm just addicted. Like I want to solve it right now and I can do it in under 5 minutes. I know like in the Patreon Whitey, one of the executive producers of the show, he did one in less than a minute, but I just love cubing so much.
This cube is amazing and it does amazing things.
Now, was part of the reason I wanted to talk about Rubik's Cubes because I came up with those song parodies? Yes, it was. And I do have 2 more.
I was made for solving cubes, baby. Cubes were made for being solved by me. And I can't get enough of cubes, baby. Can cubes get enough of me?
And my personal favourite.
You see me driving round town with the toy I love, and I'm like, solve cubes, cube.
Thank you. Ryan Adams, you got to be happy with that. That was pretty funny. You got to admit, there's a lot of effort put into that. Okay, a lot of people were messaging me when the new Black Mirror season launched, and we were discussing it in the Discord. There's a movies and TV discussion page, and I might do some YouTube content around analysing the Black Mirror episodes generally, but in particular, the first episode of the new season, people thought really rung true to a lot of the AI stuff I've been talking about recently. And with minimal spoilers, it's basically about a woman who a streaming service is making a TV show based around her, like that's coming out day by day. And it's like and the way they're doing it is they've just got an AI machine that generates a show. And I've kind of been talking about how, yeah, with the surge of AI, like you can just make infinite content, and that's kind of what this is dealing with. And like, what is content when like you just have something that can make infinite content? Like really, really interesting concept. And I loved the new season, by the way. I thought most of the episodes were pretty good. One of them kind of delved too much into like supernatural elements, which I thought was weird. But overall, I thought the season was really good. Great to have the show back because it's such a fantastic show. If you've never watched Black Mirror, you really should. It's like, you know, sci-fi dystopia, not too far in the future kind of vibes. And it's like commentary on what could happen with these emerging technologies and what people could do with them. Most episodes really good. If you're squeamish, I'd probably skip the first episode because it's actually just really gross and it's not really like the other episodes. But with Black Mirror season 5, no, it's season 6. Is it season 5? With the new season of Black Mirror, with the new season of Black Mirror, there is one thing that I think every Australian would have been so shocked by. Something that like Aussies would have just been like, what? What is going on here? Right? Specifically Aussies. So Ryan Adams, you know, our lovely listener from Denver, Colorado.
Denver sucks ass.
You might not resonate as hard with this, but, you know, try to stick with us. I believe every single Australian, when watching Black Mirror, when watching the new season of Black Mirror, heard this. In the second episode that plays. And I think every single Australian thought, oh, wow, who would have thought one of the most iconic Australian songs or most iconic Australian hip-hop songs for sure, but surely one of the most iconic Australian songs of all time, the Nosebleed Section by the Hilltop Hoods, is about to play in this episode.
I got hip-hop taste buds. I want to hear that bass when I make love. Want to hear some lyrics when I...
If you don't know the song or the artist, Hilltop Hoods are an Australian hip-hop group. I actually love them and always have. I don't think I've ever talked about them on this show, but I love the Hilltop Hoods. Like, I can rap Nosebleed Section all the way through, no breaks. Absolutely love it, right? It's such a good song. And genuinely, that intro riff... is like so iconic.
I got hip-hop taste buds. I want to hear that bass when I make love. Want to hear some lyrics when I wake up.
They have a bunch of great songs, you know, Nosebleed Section, What a Great Night, I Love It, Chase That Feelin', Still Standing, 1975 or 1985 or whatever that song's called. Like, they've got great songs. I haven't listened to much of their new stuff, but like a lot of their songs I know off by heart. Chase That Feeling. Love them. But then in Black Mirror, the new season, episode 2, they play this. I'm like, oh my God, they're playing Hilltop Hoods. That's cool. And it's like, this is going to sound stupid, but I never knew that song was sampled from another song. But it's sampled from a song by an artist called Melanie. Is it Melanie? Yeah. I guess like just a single name artist like Madonna, Sting, Eminem. What's another artist that has just one name? Lord. Melanie, People in the Front Row by Melanie. And I just think that's incredible. Like, I just think I was so shocked, and I genuinely think every Australian was like, they're not playing Nosebleed Section, one of the most iconic Australian songs, which does make sense because why would they be playing an iconic Australian hip-hop track in a British TV show? But anyway, I just thought it was absolutely crazy. I wasn't going to actually talk about this, but I thought, because it's a bit of a downer, but it's also quite... it's just interesting. It's just an interesting story. And to be honest, it's going to date badly because by the time this podcast is out, it'll probably be resolved entirely. But I still wanted to talk about this submarine or sub situation at the wreckage site, a submersible. And they went to the wreckage site of the Titanic and to like view the Titanic wreckage. Cool. Interesting. So basically, there are, I think, 5 people aboard this submersible. I'm just going to call it a submarine because I don't know the difference. And it's lost contact with the mothership, and now it's lost, and they're running out of oxygen. And what I will say is, like, by the time this podcast is out, either we will have found them, or like they were saying a few hours ago they have like 35 hours of oxygen left on that submarine. So here's the thing about it, that like it's kind of, people are really mixed on it for a few reasons. Number one is everyone on board is essentially like a billionaire. It's all these billionaires from around the world who have paid like, I think, $250,000 to be on that sub and go see the wreckage of the Titanic. Cool little excursion if you've got $250,000 to spare. So there's like 4 billionaires, or like a billionaire, one of his sons, another billionaire, and then the guy who owns the submarine. And like they were showing it all, and it's a private expedition kind of thing that's supposed to be, I think, a day trip or something, but they've lost contact. They're sitting on the bottom of the ocean just hoping someone rescues them. They're in pitch black. It's freezing cold. Like, they have limited oxygen. They have to, like, hold their breath, essentially. It's fucked. It would be such a horrific thing. And a lot of people are like, oh, you know, like, they're billionaires. Like, who cares? That's what you get for, like, doing something dangerous like that. And, you know, they're not like strugglers. They've had a rich life. I don't know. I find it, maybe because I'm quite empathetic, like I feel really bad for these people who are just like down there hoping someone can come to their rescue. And like the ship seems so weird. Apparently the owner of the company like was, I don't know all the details, but he like had some fraud charge against him, and the ship is controlled by essentially like a PlayStation DualShock controller. Like you control it like you're playing a video game, like accelerate, turn and stuff like that, which seems really weird as well. But again, I don't know anything about it. As for like thinking that because they're really wealthy people, like they deserve to like perish, I think it's a really, really sad way to like spend the last few hours of your life with your life being cut short like that. I think it's absolutely terrible, and they can't get out. Like the mothership can only open the submarine or whatever. It's really, really sad. I don't think it's like fair to like dismiss it as like, well, that's their fault because they're rich and they chose to do this thing. Like it's like, and I guess like when you do anything risky, you accept the risk of what you're doing. Like people going skydiving, you must accept on some level when you go skydiving that there is a chance that the parachute won't open and you fall to your death. That being said, there's like two people, funnily enough, on Osher Günsberg's podcast and then on another news podcast I listen to, there's two separate people currently who have written books about skydiving, their parachute failing, and them landing and surviving, and now being like motivational speakers. So it does seem like, I guess you just don't hear as much about the parachutes that don't open and people die. You do hear about it when they survive because it's such a miracle. But I guess when you do stuff, you accept the risk, however great or small, that like it could be something that kills you. Anyway, I think it's really sad. I think it's absolutely terrible what's happened and that they're down there, and yeah, bit of a downer. But it might be a bit of a shorter episode this week. Let's do this.
The plug.
Once again, would like you to support the Patreon, patreon.com/Radio Mike. Please support us. I'd also love for you to check out Harry Potter and the Boys, a fan fiction podcast. We're on book 3. Me and Sam Garlip do it. The Pat and Mike show, of course, this week, as well as that. What else would I like you to do? 2 Guys, 1 Cup. I do my AFL, my footy roundup each week of my bigger year of footy. So I would love for you to check that out as well. It's on the Listener app. And that's pretty much it for now. I'm actually moving house in a few weeks. Again, it's been a year since I moved here, so I might take the week off the pod that week. I'm not 100% sure, but it would be good to just have a break. Because I remember moving last year was just such a pain in the ass. But yeah, that's about it for this week. Sorry, it's a bit of a shorter ep, but yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles. My name's Radio Mike. This has been The Inside of My Mind. Catch you later. This podcast was a Radio Mike original production. Head to radiomike.com.au to check out all our other content, stay up to date at radio.mike on Instagram, and get in touch, radiomikepod@gmail.com.